Battlefield 2042. We've just been treated to the reveal trailer, and while it was an absolute blast, it didn't reveal much about the game. However, a few days ago I was invited to a press pre-brief where DICE spilled the beans on the biggest Battlefield game ever. And so in this video I'm going to tell you everything that we know so far about the game. Battlefield 2042 has been in development for 3 years and uses the very latest Frostbite engine technology and significant technical upgrades such as a new physics system. The game is set in the year 2042 with the world on the brink of war. Rising sea levels, collapsing economy, and global blackouts cause chaos. Stateless soldiers known as NOPATs are deployed by the US and Russian armies as they fight for key military locations and territory. 2042 is a multiplayer only game with no traditional single player campaign. However, there will be story elements woven into the maps that you can play on and in the evolving narrative. DICE said that this is a true evolution of the Battlefield franchise, a modern military shooter leaning into the sandbox gameplay and offering freedom to create unlike anything before. The main game mode is known as All Out Warfare, featuring Conquest and Breakthrough game modes with up to 128 players on PC and the new consoles. PS4 and Xbox One will support 64 players. The game uses new modern hardware, weapons, gadgets, vehicles, and cutting-edge technology. I saw guns based on weapon systems like the MP7, the AK, the M13, DDM4, Vector, and Saiga. 2042 also introduces the Plus system for guns. This lets you change your weapon configuration on the fly when your boot's on the ground. You can switch out your scope, barrel, ammo type, and underbarrel attachment. For example, if you were to move from a large area to a tight indoor environment, you could switch your ACOG sight to a red dot sight, change ammo for a faster rate of fire, take off the foregrip and add an underbarrel shotgun, and a shorter barrel for CQC firefights. I can't show you what it looks like yet, but imagine the system that they use in Crisis for a good reference. This game introduces the ability to play with or against AI soldiers. You have the option to play solo against a whole server of artificial intelligence bots, or squad up with friends, or a mix. DICE said this will be a great way for new players to learn the game, vehicles, weapons, soldiers, and systems at their own pace. It will be a great place to test stuff too. I suspect that it will also be brilliant for regions that have lower player populations, having AI fill up a server until 128 real players queue in. Progression is also enabled when you play with AI. There's a big emphasis on vehicles in this game. Transports, tanks, LAVs, helicopters, and jets. Getting a hold of vehicles is easier too. Any player at any time can request a land vehicle delivery on a tablet to any location. Pick a spot and it will be parachuted to a desired position. No more information was given about this, but I would imagine that there'll be some kind of point system in place so you couldn't just constantly spam tanks, for example. Each vehicle seat has a vital role to play too. The more people that are in it, the more proficient it will be, leading to more gameplay variety. Think about anti-air seats, spotter seats, gunners, rocket launcher seats, grenade seats, miniguns, and some vehicles can even lay down mines to deter pursuing vehicles. Examples of the vehicles they gave us included the AH-64GX Apache helicopter, which is the king of lower airspace, the Su-57 Elon jet for air-to-air dominance, the E6 Jaeger Recon. This is a squad-focused high-tech LAV-style vehicle. Fan favourites will also return with the Little Bird helicopter, Osprey-type vehicles, main battle tanks, and the Ka-52 Alligator. Battlefield 2042 maps are massive, featuring some of the biggest effort in the history of the franchise. In Conquest and Breakthrough, capture points are now broken up into multiple sectors. So think of capture points as a larger territory, and your team must seize control of all the objectives within it to capture it. For example, to fully capture the stadium on the Hourglass map, you will have to own both of the objectives inside it. So let's say there were C1 and C2. Dynamic elements of maps can occur too. Tornadoes can form, travelling different routes and creating chaos, launching hazardous debris and picking up and throwing vehicles or soldiers in their way. So you can choose to avoid it or take advantage of it. Dan Berlin, who's one of the leads on the game, gave us an example where he was playing, stuck in the open, there was a sniper on a hill, and a tornado in the distance had actually picked up a container crate and it landed on the sniper and killed them. The maps feature destructible environments and terrain, and bigger Levolution moments like rocket launches which can fail or succeed with different outcomes and effects to the level. There are smaller, more focused destruction features too, as well as interactive map elements like lowering or raising bollards, using zip lines, managing doors and gates that can be locked down, raising or lowering bridges, and even moving massive containers with cranes in real time. As I mentioned, the next gen versions are 128 players, but the PS4 and Xbox One versions are 64 player only. Therefore, on those consoles, the maps are smaller experiences and have a tailored scale for 64 players, but they say that the gameplay and big events will still be there. We were shown 7 maps. Kaleidoscope, set in South Korea. This is a fight to control a quantum-powered disinformation hub with multiple floors, canals for amphibious vehicles. At the edge of the map there are skyscrapers, a TV station which is enterable, and zip lines from rooftop to rooftop. Manifest in Singapore. This is a vital location for US supply lines, and it has a big container yard which acts as funnels for intense infantry fighting. There are also big automated cranes which pick up and move containers as you play. There's a toll station and big ships anchored by the docks with capture points in them. Orbital is set in French Guiana. This is a big rocket launch site. It's a controversial space launch and it becomes a race against time. This is a medium-sized map by the new standards. There's a launch pad with the rocket on it. It can take off and it doesn't always go as planned. Discarded is set in India, and this is a fight to secure a rogue nuclear asset with stranded ships due to changing water levels in the world. There is also a huge ship in the middle called the Colossus, and that hides a nuclear submarine with intense close quarters combat. Renewal is set in Egypt, and here you're fighting for a groundbreaking agricultural tech center. There's a massive wall which goes across the entire map, and this splits the play space into 2 distinct areas: green life versus arid desert and canyons, plus there is a solar park at the back. Hourglass is set in Qatar, and this is a city lost in sand. It's a very big map, one of the biggest in the game, and there's a neon city to the east which is a cluster of skyscrapers which you can go in. Sandstorms can come and go, and the stadium has become overrun by sand. There are these big arches on the highway too where there's a lot of abandoned vehicles, rolling sand dunes for vehicle to vehicle combat. And then finally, Breakaway. This is set in Antarctica, and this is a fight for oil and gas with massive exploding silos scattered across the map. This is the biggest map in 2042 at 5.9 kilometers squared. This is about the same size as the Vikendi map from PUBG, and it has spots like the Outlook, which is very reminiscent of Damavan Peak. It's a capture point, the resource depot, the oil rigs, and the oil port. Moving on, in 2042 you play as specialists. Each specialist belongs to a classic Battlefield class, but this class is more of a category for a particular type of gameplay role. Each specialist has a gadget and a trait only used by them which defines them, and the classes that we saw were Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon. So the primary gadget is locked to each specialist, but you can choose whatever primary weapon, grenade, or secondary to use. There is the freedom to create a loadout in this game for your specific playstyle, and there are no class-locked primary weapons. The game will launch with 10 specialists in total, and we were shown 4 of them. Webster McKay is from Canada, and he is an assault specialist with a grappling hook gadget and a trait known as Nimble, which gives them increased agility when aiming and ziplining. They did show a gameplay snippet, and the grapple hook kind of looked like a little Spider-Man thing where you would point it at a position and you could use it to swing a little or pull yourself up to higher places. This gameplay snippet also had a third-person execution in it, kind of like how they are in Modern Warfare and Warzone. The next specialist they showed was Maria Falk from Germany, and they are support, and they have the S21 Surette pistol, which lets them revive and heal teammates from afar. So this was just a little gun that they fired into a downed teammate who was wiggling around on the floor dead. You shoot it from afar, hit them, and they're revived. They also have defibs, which allow them to revive teammates back to full health. Other specialists in the game, when they revive people, they only revive them with a portion of their health. Boris is a Russian and an engineer class, and their gadget is the SG-36 Sentry system, and this lets them deploy a turret that automatically spots and engages enemies. Their trait is the Sentry Operator, which means that when they stand near the turret, its efficiency will be boosted. Also, EMP attacks can take out sentry guns. And then finally, Casper, who is South African, Recon. They get a OVP Recon drone gadget that you can have manually controlled, or you can set it to hover. This can reveal enemy positions and disrupt their electronics. It's got a little dart that you can shoot. And their trait is the movement sensor, which can detect incoming threats with their sensor equipment. So that means that if there are any enemies in close proximity to you running or sprinting, you'll be notified of that. Also, the wingsuit that you saw in the reveal trailer is tied to a specific specialist, although they didn't say who it was. This game is adopting the live service model for future content with a battle pass for each season. There is a free and paid for premium battle pass. Everything that's gameplay is in the free tier, introducing new content to chase and keeping the community playing together. They said that the paid tier is more about cosmetics. The battle pass will also push the story and narrative of the game forward. The first year is comprised of 4 seasons, 4 new specialists, new locations and new content, and we'll learn more about that before launch. Wrapping things up, there are 2 other experiences for the game at launch, which are different to All Out Warfare, and these were very briefly mentioned but not really elaborated on. The second experience is called Hazard Zone. They told us that this is an all-new high-stakes game type with strong focus on tight squad play. It's completely new for the Battlefield franchise, distinctly different from anything in the All Out Warfare mode. It's not a battle royale, so perhaps it could be something similar to Tarkov or Hunt Showdown. And the third experience is something specific built by DICE LA. We were told that this is a true love letter for Battlefield players and something aimed specifically at long-term fans of the franchise. Nothing more was said about that apart from that we would see more at EA Play next month. Finally, there was a Q&A session after the brief where we could ask questions, and while they didn't reveal much, there were a few details in here that I wanted to share. They did state on several occasions that this game does not have a battle royale mode. There will be an under NDA grey box technical test of the game and an open beta pre-launch. There was nothing to share about a free-to-play experience, but look forward to more announcements in the future. The outer combat area for air vehicles is huge and it doesn't have that fishbowl feeling anymore, and the inner combat area has a lot more space to flank around, significantly bigger maps and spaces, 128 players, there's a lot more room to move. The game is running on dedicated servers. There was no mention of community games, anti-cheat or crossplay, but I'm sure that we will learn more about that in the future. As I mentioned, DICE did also show us some small snippets of pre-alpha gameplay of the specialists in the presentation, which while I can't show you, I can talk about. They announced that the gameplay trailer is coming on Sunday, so you'll see how it looks then anyways, but I can say that it looked pretty clean and bright. The graphics had a realistic art style, reminding me a lot of Battlefield 4, but with more visual fidelity and detail. The only thing that I didn't really like about it was the look of the user interface. I thought it was a bit too big, but usually Battlefield has scaling in the customization options, so hopefully you could change that. And the squad size in the gameplay snippets was 4 players. Apart from that, the only other thing that they showed us was the different versions of the game. Standard, Gold and Ultimate editions. They had various skins and bundles in them for weapons and vehicles, battle passes, etc. And the pre-order bonus gets you early access to the open beta, the Mr. Chompy dinosaur gun charm, and the classic ACB 90 knife from Battlefield 3. The game is launching October 22nd on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, S, X and PC, with early access players on the 15th. And that's about all that we were given. DICE pitched this to us as a true evolution of the Battlefield franchise, expanding the game, expanding the player base, and leading into and revolutionizing that sandbox style gameplay and only in Battlefield moments with entirely new tool sets for the players. With that being said, that's all for today, folks. I'm looking forward to the gameplay trailer on Sunday. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.